following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. Paddy, we got there in the end. Celtic take back the League Cup. It's in the trophy cabinet. We have demoralised Rangers, or have we? We've managed to get back the first cup, the one that was missing for last season. Positivity all round. Or is it? But we'll get into that. I've got my takes. I've spoke to you. You've got your takes. At the end of the day, mate, it's the first blood in terms of trophies getting dished out in the season. How you feel, my man?
I'm delighted to have the trophy back. Like you say, this is the one that got away from us last year. That unfortunate day at Kilmarnock done the trophy last year for us, and it went to our wee rivals across the city. But listen, we've got it back. It's now cemented in there with the other two trophies, and hopefully we can make it a nice wee domestic treble as well.
Are Celtic the most successful club in Scotland in the world apparently now?
Yes, we are. That's us.
I mean, I'm sure there's other teams that are actually more successful, but for purposes of the tape and Rangers, we are, aren't we?
I think we are, mate. Yeah, I've seen all the decorators running into Ibrox to take down all of their stuff. So, as far as I'm aware, that's us.
Get it off. Oh, it's terrible. It's going to cost more money to cover it up.
Face papers are again to cover up the walls. That's it.
Anyway, look, jokes aside, welcome to the channel. This is not a piss take. This is real life. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and as you can see, I'm joined my bearded brother. It is Paddy Boy, because there is a game to talk about. There's a trophy to talk about, and there was a derby to talk about. But before we get into that, as I say, welcome back to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for your continued support. We really, really genuinely appreciate it. If you want to help out the channel, you can. It's easy. Hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing to do so. If you like what we see, you like what we hear, give the wee thumbs up. If you want to go mental, share it out there. If you want to give a donation to the channel, you can. Become a member, $1.99 a month. Costs you nothing. Well, it does cost you $1.99. That gets you no extra content. However, like the Bold 420, the original CWO member, and that just helps me run it, because, putting this together costs us. But if you want to reach out with us elsewhere, TikTok, what else? Blue Sky, Spotify, we're out there. Come and connect with the channel. The community is growing. The numbers are pumping, and thank you very much. So, Paddy, without further ado, let's get down to business, as we say.
Yeah.
Mate, listen, I feel tonight this is going to be a good guy, bad guy type of thing. Straight in. 420, love it. If you're on the end of that, then you are a lucky person indeed. Your world's about to get enriched in something awful. Thanks, mate. I think it's going to be a good guy, bad guy sort of dynamic here, because we spoke about it before we came on. You're in the positivity camp. You're in the it's a trophy, get it up them, love it. I'm in the we made that hard work. Yeah, but between us, mate, we'll cover it all.
That's it. At the end of the day, Steve, we're going to talk about the performance. And performance going into the game, we were expecting more. I expected a demolition job today. I really did. I expected absolute carnage. And I had put on the TikTok for predictions as well. And there wasn't one person. I had over 200 comments on the TikTok, and not one person had predicted 3 each. So that just shows you how much of a shock this was. And I said, job done. We got the trophy. It's there. We've done it. It doesn't matter how we've done it. We've done it.
No, that's it. I mean, let's see, remember in this game, we came on, and it's funny because myself and Josh and I, we done that last night. We previewed the game, and I saw some comments. I saw some commentary on it where it was, "We fear nobody. You're so negative. You're this and that." I think, to be honest, we came into it with a real world perspective. That's something. I'll say this. I'll preach it. Celtic World Order. That's what we're about. You might not like the honesty at times, but we look at things objectively. And we thought it was going to be cagey. By God, did I think it was going to be that cagey? Absolutely not. Yeah. It was one of the ones, and I'm really genuinely surprised. Are Rangers back? Well, if you look at score lines, they're not. But I tell you what, they gave us a run for our money.
Aye, you could say that. if I was on the podcast with you and Josh, obviously used to being the two KG guys, I
would have been 4-5-0 you're not, mate. I know you would have.
I'd have been saying, it's going to be 4-0, blah, blah, we'll do this, we'll do that. I'd have been that confident guy. Of course I would. Like you're saying there, did I think it was going to be as cagey as what it was? No, I didn't. And I looked at the team lineups as well before the match, and I thought, that's a strong side. Other than Greg Taylor, who we'll get onto, I thought that was pretty much the team that I would have picked. So, listen, like I said, Steve-O, performance aside, stick it in the trophy cabinet. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, we went in this game, and the one thing that I said for the off was, if Rangers want to try and beat Celtic, they're going to have to try and do something different.
Yes.
They're going to have to try and beat Celtic at football. And by my eye, were they fantastic? Were I was impressed with them? Was I bowled over them? Well, absolutely not. But one thing I think it's fair to say is we actually saw something a wee bit different for Rangers this time round, do we know?
Yeah, they came at us. They had a different dynamic, shall we say. Their forward players, your man Igamani, looks like a decent enough player. Certainly a lot better than Dossers that they had on the bench. The other lad, obviously, that gets the goal looks decent enough. Your man Cherny on the wing, you highlighted him. I think going forward, they had a little bit there. But, it wasn't the best Celtic performance I've ever seen either. So I think if a Celtic team turns up, and I hate doing that, we didn't play our best, but we still beat them. Yeah, brilliant. That's all fine and well. I want Celtic to perform every single week. I really do. I want Celtic to go out there and demolish teams, especially in cup finals against your rivals. That's what I want to do. I want to punish them. I want them put back in a box. Now, after watching that game, do I think that the Rangers fans are going to be sitting there going, oh my God, we were absolutely done there? No, that's going to give them confidence. And if you watch the interview with their manager's calling for a penalty and things like that.
I love it. Absolutely. I'm jumping in, drink it in, because that's what I want. That's what I want. Now, that's what we've seen time and time again. Of course, we came on here and I says, I think it's going to be cagey. I think Celtic are going to edge it. I thought they would edge it in normal time. We probably should have. We'll get on to that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we get the job done. They're getting into it, laying out, financials and all that kind of nonsense before, tempering expectation. They walk away from it. They're talking about, my phone's going mental because we should have had a penalty. My phone's going mental because it says Celtic were garbage, but we still get the job done. What do you want, mate? However you want to chop it up.
Do you know what it comes back to, Steve? Serial winners. And you look at their team, and I've said it so many times, the amount of losers in that team is still littered with them. Their captain, straight away, and you seen at the end, the disappointment, that wee thing that he always goes on about, say the word. I mean, the disappointment, that's what he always comes out with. And then you look at our captain, I touched on it previously. Callum McGregor has now played in 23 domestic league cup finals. He's won every single one of them. He's never, ever lost one. That is a ridiculous stat when you think about it. And that's the kind of person that you want to be leading your team. Not somebody that's won one in, 12 years. Yeah, it's madness.
Nah, that's the thing. And there it goes. I didn't say they were back. I don't do drugs. I didn't say they were back, Jim. They're far from back, but I think they gave us a game. Let's not sit here with the green tinted specs on and say that they were garbage, because they weren't. It's just facts. But let's get back to it. Let's focus in. So we kick off the game, right? We start off, Paddy. We're in here, as I says, I spoke to you. I was on here with Josh. Josh and I, we do the podcast, as I say time and time again on the channel. It would be cheap. It'd be easy for us to just sit here and say everything the Celtic do is brilliant. Every game's a formality. Rangers are shite. But we try not to do that. We try, whether folk like it or don't, we try to be objective and look at what's presented in front of us, right? Between you and I, we're talking about it. We were joking and laughing. I was like, I want the body bags out at half time, you know what I mean? But, the thing is you've got to look at it. We go into the game. The lineup comes out. It's pretty much as we predicted. It was good to see Johnson in there. Taylor was the toss-up. I think we'll get on to that. He survives the game. He's ups, he's downs, but he's the wise choice. The big problem, or the question mark, was always going to be the midfield. That unfolded. We got what we predicted. And then, of course, we get Kyogo up front. Rangers, on the other hand, we look at them, we say, what are they going to put out? And they did. They mixed it up. They really mixed it up. They didn't go with what we expected. We thought it was going to be Barn down the hatches. It was going to be Barn. It was going to be Diamandi. It was going to be Raskin. It was going to be Dijon Sterling. That's what we thought we were going to get. And they really mixed it up. And to be fair, I think it made a contest of the game.
Aye, they tried to play football, which is what you had said before. Like you said, you were on that chat with a few of the other teams as well, and obviously Rangers fans on there, and you had mentioned if Rangers are going to do anything against Celtic, then they need to play football against us and not do this, try to nullify the midfield and the kind of knuckle dragging stuff, as I call it, the kind of just putting the boot in here and there, and the stuff that their fans love. Do you know what I mean? They love the aggressor in the middle of the park and things like that. But what they had to do was actually try and play football, and I thought they did that. I thought their press was pretty decent. They tried to press high like we do. It was basically like watching somebody try to do to us what we've been doing to other teams. Yep. And you know what? It worked for them, because if you go to their first goal, Steve, which we'll get to as well, that's basically what it was. It was the high press.
So Paddy, let's get this out of the way, because this is going to inform the chat, all right? Yep. We normally do the stats, so we bring up the big graphic. Here it is, nice and early, right? So if you look at that, as you imagine, Celtic, the lion's share of possession, look at the shots, look at the on target, etc., etc. Celtic dominating with the passing, as you'd imagine. Now, this is one thing that it really surprised me. It was weird, because Rangers did appear to play a more attacking brand of football. There was periods where they were trying to pass it about, although at the end of the day, fundamentals to their game was the launch ball. Chaos ball, booting it up. And I think that speaks volumes there, with 364 passes versus ours, for what that's worth, right? Yeah. You look at the touches in the box. On the face value, despite our possession and our passing rate, it's a pretty even game, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It looks like that. Obviously, 8 yellow cards for them as well, so that shows you that they weren't hanging about in the tackles. Every 50-50 that they thought they could win, they were up for it. They wanted to go for it, and I think at times our players seem to kind of back off a little bit, and that's just, for me, not acceptable at this level. If you're going to be playing against your nearest rival, you've really got to go for it. You've got to put the boot in at some point. You've got to actually not leave a bit on the player, but let them know that you're there. Let them know you're having a game with them. Stats-wise and stuff like that, Steve, like you said, we could go over that all the way, and we could pass the ball round about the midfield and the defence and stuff like that. Carter, Vickers and Trusty, and obviously Scales, once he comes on, they've probably got the most touches of the ball in that kind of possession-wise, because that's all we're doing. We're passing the ball about at the back, and the opposition box is where we want the ball to be, so you want them to go forward and start pressing with it. Yeah.
No, I mean, we come out, see the start of the game, I thought, we predict this, we says, Rangers are probably going to come out hot. We're going to have to ride the lightning. Now, I don't know about yourself, but in terms of that opening phase of the game, I didn't really feel that any team particularly controlled it. We had the lion's share of the possession. There was plenty of Celtic doing what Celtic, do all the time. Plenty of possession, shoehorning about. I didn't really think that we were getting too much purchase in the early stage of the game, but I could tell very early on that we were in a game, that we were going to be in a game, because Rangers were aggressive, they were energetic, they were all the things that, again, and it's funny because when Josh and I were talking about it, we spoke about they played against Spurs, regardless of what you thought of that game. They played a high-intensity game with very little rest.
Yeah.
You could have been mistaken if you thought that they were the team with the more days of rest than us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you could have. Like I said, they come out with a high press, they come out with the really, really pushing towards us to try and get that goal, and that's what they had to do, to be honest. I feel like the result against Spurs probably gave them that bit of belief that they actually could come out and do that. Obviously, going into that game, watching it, I was expecting Ange's team to turn them over and give them a bit of a doing, like they did today. What was it, 5-0? They beat Southampton today. Where was that performance the other night? Do you know what I mean? So, I said that kind of performance in Europe is always going to give you a little bit of a boost. And we talk about the European hangover and things like that. There's no hangover when you win comfortably, is there? You go into the game and you go in quite happy. So they've came in full of beans, full of yeah, we're playing really well. We got a draw with Spurs. Look at us, and they've wanted a point to prove. It's a trophy that they've wanted to defend. They wanted to take it back to, we'll just call it the room now at their stadium, because it's no longer got any trophies in it. So
the room, it's got a bike in it though.
a bike, it's got a nice bike.
It's got a bike. Mate, it's got ceramics from all around the world.
Oven cup.
And the Alcast Cup, the most beautiful cup in the world, apparently. Remember? Never forget. Lest we forget, one might say.
Lest we forget. That's that.
That's it. You know, it's like we can joke, but let's get back to reality, right? Because it was a game, and this is the one thing we want to hammer home here, right? We're here to celebrate. Let us know in the comments, what did you think? Because we're going to start breaking it down. Who was your top performing player? Mistakes, you know, favourite moment, whatever. Get it in there. We'll get them on screen. Let's try and get the conversation rolling, because there's a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk about how we saw it with our eyes. We're not going to sit here just with the green tinted specs and go, amazing, because it wasn't good, bad, and different. We're going to cover it, and that's the facts. But no, we got in the game, Paddy. I felt comfortable. And I think we were looking for a couple of performances out of some of our guys getting in this game.
Yes.
Maeda, Kuhn. By God, we got that, did we know? Because, you know, these guys were, I wouldn't say off the boil entirely. They weren't hitting the peak that they were. You know, being spoiled this season by these guys. But look at Maeda. Again, this fixture, mate, it's just tailor-made for him, isn't it?
It does, mate. It just torments that back line of theirs. We've said it before, the Duracell bunny, a speedboat with no steering wheel, call him what you will. The guy is just unreal. He just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. And it's a joy to watch. As a defender, could you imagine being up against that? Do you know what I mean? I never played at any kind of high level. But coming up against somebody with that pace and that intensity and that, just that will to try and get the ball back. It'd just be carnage, mate. You couldn't do it. And we always joke about it, saying he lives in James Tavernier's dreams and stuff like that. And like there's a picture of him in the back of James Tavernier's car, just kind of sitting smiling at him in the window and stuff. And listen, it's brilliant. It's so good. And to have somebody with that intensity in there is just absolutely unreal. You said about Nicholas Kuhn as well. Nicholas is just phenomenal. When he gets the ball, you get that excitement that I used to get as a kid watching guys like Moravchik. He's up there for me with this. He's got that buzz about him. When he gets the ball, you go, all right, here we go. He's got the ball, what we're getting here, and you kind of sit forward a little bit. And it's good. It's a good feeling to have.
Paddy, before we start getting down to the key points, the action, all that kind of stuff, as it says, get them in, we'll bring them up, because I want this to be more of a conversation, a background. Let us know, right? And I want to start fielding some questions to Paddy, because Paddy is the man that knows everything. I'm just the idiot that puts us together. I want to field some questions and see things. McLaughlin asks, one of our members, welcome McLaughlin, and he says, are Celtic becoming predictable again? Now, that might seem like a negative thing to bring in, but I just want to bring that in because, as I say, we've had a couple of up and down sticky performances the past couple. We've been winning. That's the most important thing. Let's not forget, winning equals points, equals prizes, equals trophies. That is it. However, as we know, there's an expectancy when you play at Celtic to play the Celtic way, win, but with a certain level of grace, a certain bit of flair and style. And I don't think Ross County aside, I don't think we've seen that lately, right? That's fine. Today was a proof, a testing ground where everybody went, this is the one that will step up. This is will bring that level back up. We get there in the end. Of course we do. Do I think we win through absolute quality? No. I think we win through sheer luck that is called a penalty shootout. That's where I'm at with it. But are we become predictable? Because this is a Rangers team, let's not forget, that everybody had written off. You know, when we sat on here and says, this will be cagey, it was nonsense. We'll shatter them. We'll destroy them. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are we needing to mix it up?
Do you know what? Yeah, there is a point for it, because everything, you look at all our goals this season, where our goals have come from. Our goals have come from the left-hand side, Dyson Maeda, or the right-hand side, Nicholas Kuhn. That is the predominant part of our goals. Other people have scored the goal, but they might have been assisted by Kuhn or Maeda. So pretty much everything is coming down the wings, and that's the way we want to play our game. That's the Brendan way, isn't it? solidify the midfield, keep us quite strong at the back, and just get the ball to the wingers and go, 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 go. We had it previously. You remember guys like Scott Sinclair being in there as well, and he done the exact same thing as what Maeda's doing, not at any sort of pace or whatever, but listen, Scott had a bit about him. He was getting to the byline, he was getting goals, he was getting assists and things like that. So it's that Brendan way of playing, and yeah, it can become a bit predictable, but just because you can predict something doesn't mean you can stop it.
Are you worried, Paddy, of the, as we say, the tricky second album? If you want to use a music analogy, we kill it in the first one, make it tough for ourselves first season. Second season, things look good. Now, let's just look at history going by with Brendan Rodgers. I don't want to be negative, I'm just asking broadly, because what McLaughlin said there, that need to evolve, that need to mix up, that need to change, that need to constantly go on, because even refer back to Rodgers' first spell round, end of second season, started getting a bit sticky, as he says, predictable. Is that what we've got to avoid? Because I'm not sitting here and saying Rangers are back. I am not saying it at all. But what I'm saying is if that Rangers was about for the rest of the season, would we have been cruising where we are in the league? That's all I'm getting at. So I'm saying, do we need to hit the ground running? Because that winter break that normally kills them off wasn't there. Was that one today the winter break that's going to kill them off?
I hope so. And listen, you should always look for change in a football team. You should always look to adapt. You should always look to be getting better. And I think that's what we need to be doing. You look at us last year, we're better now than what we were last year. We're still playing the same way, we're still doing the same things. But yeah, we need to adapt. We can become predictable, but like I said there, being predictable doesn't mean it's going to be easy to stop. Just because you know Nicholas Kuhn's going to drag you to that byline or Dyson Maeda's going to bomb past you, doesn't mean you're going to catch him. You know what he's going to do. He's going to try and get past you and he's going to get to that byline. Stopping him's a different story. And that's it. That's the be-all and end-all of it. Yeah, you can be predictable, but you can't stop it.
So, Paddy, back to the action. For you, before the goal, we'll break the goals down, but before the goal comes, as we know, probably against the run of play, to be honest with you, if you want to look at possession. I didn't think that we had that much possession without being that, the cutting edge just wasn't quite there. Before we get that, we get the Maeda chance. Yes. Not Maeda, sorry, the Kuhn. He runs through. Yeah. He's in a great position. For me, up until the goal comes in, and even maybe beyond that, it's the first real top quality clean cut chance in the game. I'm even counting the goal that Rangers get, our equaliser. Up until that point, Kuhn on through and goal is the best genuinely carved open piece of quality football in that match so far. Is it a bad miss for Paddy, or is it just one of the ones?
I think it's a bit of a bad miss. He could have took it a wee bit earlier. We know he does like to drive inside on that left peg he has and cause absolute chaos with it. But yeah, for me, I think he's took a touch too much, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? You can't really slate the guy, if I'm being honest. He's had a chance, and I thought our final pass, or our final decision, and the build-up play, like you said, with all the possession, with all the build-up, we were passing the ball about left, right and centre. Perfect, keeping possession, doing well with the ball, but the final pass or the final shot always seemed to be lacking. And that, for me, was the main cause for concern today. That was the main part. Yeah, you get 3 goals out of 7 shots on target, but the 7 shots on target of any decent standard, if that Kuhn once count as a shot on target, then for me, no.
Yeah. No, I thought in the first half, for ourselves, it just looked a wee bit disjointed at times. The midfield, I have got a lot of praise for Bernardo. I think he was definitely the key choice. He was the guy that had to start the game. Yes, as did all of our players. There was points where he was maybe getting hustled a wee bit and he was getting put under pressure. But by and large, I thought he really controlled the game. I actually thought he was the Cal McGregor we'd expected. For me, folk don't like it. Cal McGregor done a lot of pointing and not a lot of action.
Yeah. I get that, and I seen in one of the chats as well, one of the boys was calling for Callum to get subbed at half-time because he's lacking intensity in the game and he's lack of being on the ball as much. And you know what? I get that, but what Callum brings to the squad is totally indifferent. He's a captain, he's a leader, and he just pushes us on. He's one of these guys that you need to have in there. The pointing part, he's got two guys up beside him there, Rio Hatate and Paulo Bernardo. Bernardo's still young, hopefully soaking in everything that Callum's telling him. And Bernardo did a decent enough start. He was positive. He was going in for tackles. He was one of the only ones I said before that was some of the guys actually pulling out of tackles. Bernardo, for me, was the one that actually wasn't. He was getting in there. Like you said, he's like a little mountain goat. He just likes to get straight in. And it's good to see that. And that's kind of what we need, especially getting into these games. Yeah, and for me, like you said, Steve, we'll get the goal that they scored straight away out of the way here.
Let's just get it straight out, Paddy. Because Taylor's going to get, as always, whether you think it's just or unjust, Taylor's going to get hung out to dry for this one. Right? He makes amends, of course, and there's no way you're sugarcoating it. It's a shocker. It's an absolute. I think the term is a hospital pass. Yeah. It is an absolute shocker. Now, again, when we previewed the game, we spoke about the dangers of Rangers, and again, you get laughed at by suggesting that Rangers could be dangerous. Czerny will go on it, contributed. Egeman will go on it, contributed. Bajrami, again, will go on it, contributed. But it comes from Egeman. It's a hospital pass. He latches on it. Egeman, as we say, unlike what they've got before, danger just because he's young, he'll take a pot shot from anywhere, doesn't care. He gets the shot off. And it was actually, ironically, at the same end, reminiscent of the goal that won us the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah.
Because somebody breaks through, catches a loose ball, runs, takes a shot, goalkeeper does well, and somebody's there to mop it up.
Yeah, and that's it. It's come for their high press. We'd said about it before, it's something that we kind of expected for them to start pushing on us and stuff like that. So the high press is coming. I don't know what Greg Taylor's thinking, where he thinks he's putting that ball. Like you said, hospital pass. He passes it in. It's intercepted. Played into Gamani. Has his shot. Great save by Casper, but nobody anywhere near Bajrami. I don't know where Alistair Johnson is. I don't know where anyone else was. There was nobody near him. He's standing there himself. Greg Taylor and Carter Vickers look towards the linesman to see if he's offside, but clearly onside. And 1-0 down, kick up the arse that you need at that point. And for me, I then expected Celtic to go out there and absolutely do what we do best and kind of bounce back in these situations. I expected a lot more intensity.
Yeah, I mean, in our group chat, Paddy, I put it in there, as you well know, and I says, at that time, I says, not worried. I think a goal will bring us back to life.
Yes.
It'll give us a shot in the arm. Now, I think for me, obviously, it was a bit of kickback for the guys. Joe's in the chat. I'm sure he'll have something to say about that. And he says, we shouldn't need that to bounce us into life. And I agree with that. But I felt up to that point, as I says, that both teams, we had the lion's share of the possession, as we always do. I felt that we were, we'll get on to Maeda. He had a better second half. I think all our players had a better second half. I know that's easy to say when the goals start to come, but by and large, I thought he had a better second half. I thought in that first half, for as much as we slag off Tav, he does him eventually, but Tav can't handle him. I thought he handled Maeda quite well, to be honest, in that first half. You know, as much as I don't want to say that, you know, we're on a Celtic podcast, they nullified the risk. Kuhn was getting on about. He had one or two flashes. As I say, the midfield for me, Hatate was still very lukewarm, losing the possession here and there. Bernardo, for me, in that first half was the standout, and I think maybe that says something about where we were in that game. We just weren't quite knocking on the door. The goal goes in. It's completely against the run of play. Let's not kid ourselves on. Rangers at that point did not look like they were going to score. They get the goal. And it could have been easy for us, as we say, with that, as we've seen before, a goal goes into us where we can feel a wee bit wobbled. I think when you look at it, there's another chance at 1-0 later on that they make an arsey. Mm-hmm. And that's the one that will haunt them.
Aye, listen, that's it. Is that one when Carter Vickers gets back?
Yes. When
there's 4 of them in 4-on-1. And Carter Vickers, absolutely outstanding. Defending by the big man. How they've not scored for that. If you're 4-1 through, you've got to score. And listen, Big Carter Vickers done incredibly well there. And for me, that's as good as a goal for him. Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, that was out of this world for me. Perfect. That's exactly what you want for the big man, and I think it'll push him on as well. I think that'll give him a bit of the confidence to push forward and go a wee bit more as well. But I get what you're saying, Steve, that the intensity for Maeda and whatever else, it wasn't quite there. I don't think at any point did I think Tav had him under control. I mean, you can't control a Dyson Maeda. You can't do that. It's just impossible. He's just going to keep going at you and going at you and going at you. So for me, that impact was just a matter of time. That was coming. Watching that, at no point did I think, oh, James Tavernier's got him in his pocket today. That's never going to happen. Dyson was always going to get that chance for me.
I mean, what did you think, Paddy? As I says, in a first half that was frustrating to say the least for me, what was your takeaways getting into half time beforehand? What was your highlights, if you will, from that Celtic performance? Sitting there watching it and thinking to yourself, right, nothing to worry about. What was the bright sparks and the positive for you?
We had the ball enough, mate. Like we said, with the possession, we had the ball. We got the ball out to the wings now and again. We got the ball we could. We were creating chances. It was just that final ball that was lacking, and that was for me. I was just waiting for that to click, just waiting for that wee pass, that wee bit of perfection in the final third that we kept lacking. And you know it's always going to come. We've been providing it every single week. We're still sitting there, do you know what I mean, undefeated in the league and the cup because of that. Because we've got that belief, we've got that, I don't know, is that a sense of entitlement? I don't know, you call it whatever you want. We're good enough and we know we're good enough. So for me, it's just waiting on that final pass, that wee final bit, and watching the game. You're sitting there going, right, do you know what, yeah, we might be 1-0 down, we might be going into this, going in towards the second half, and you're sitting going, right, it's all right, the goal will come. We'll get something here.
Yeah. Now, that's the thing, is like, see me look at it, to just gloss over, if you will, and bypass through that. One thing that I thought, and we'll get on to the subs, because at half time, we make, for me, I think a wee bit of a surprising sub. We take off Trusty and we bring on Scales. Now, I don't know about you, I didn't think that Trusty had a particularly bad game.
Yeah.
So it was a wee bit baffling for me. However, when we bring on Scales, the one thing I would say that improved drastically when we brought on Scales was the build-up play.
Yes.
Now, I've mentioned this before, particularly after the Bruges game when we done it. For whatever reason, I'm not quite sure why, a lot of the time when we were trying to build up the play from the back, it was Carter Vickers again.
Yes.
And he does not look comfortable doing it. He wanders in, he stops, he's a bit ponderous with it, and it really slowed us down. I don't know if that was Brendan Rodgers thinking by bringing on Scales, because I felt that as soon as he came on, the urgency for the back to the middle was night and day.
100%. Joe comments in there as well, mate. That's a fantastic comment about Scales being the pusher, basically. And I know exactly what he means by that. Scales came on and he wanted to drive. He wanted to push into that midfield. He wanted to get the ball forward. And he's got that in his locker. He's got that pass that we talked about before when you've got big Stubbs, he could have done it. That 50-yard pass straight to somebody's feet. Scales, he's got that in his locker. And I was on here last week as well, and we're talking about getting goals for set pieces because of the amount of set pieces we get. Big Scales, he gets in there. You're on mute, Steve-O. Big Scales, he gets in there, and he always goes for the ball.
He's unlucky when we get on it. That corner comes in. Very unlucky. As you say, creates a lot of hassle. I thought Scales, and this is where it's interesting, Trusty and Carter Vickers has became that sort of go-to partnership. But there's a lot to be said about that Carter Vickers and Scales partnership that was there before.
Yes.
Just simply 100%. For the dynamic and more direct from a building standpoint. There's no doubt in my mind that Trusty's a better defender. But Scales has that threat.
That bit going forward, Scales is a different animal in there. It's a different type of player. And you looked at Trusty, right? Trusty against Atalanta. was unplayable. That was Trusty's phenomenal game for me. That he was just outstanding. That was the best performance I've seen him. So Scalesy going into positions like that and being able to drive the team forward and winning headers off of corners and headers off of free kicks and stuff, it's different because Trusty doesn't seem to have that part of his game yet. And I'm by no means saying that one is better than the other. They're different types of player. Although they play in the same position, they're different types of player. And I think they'd be differently suited to whatever games, like you said before, horses for courses. It's very, very similar. And Brendan's obviously noticed that straight away and went, right, wait a minute, we need in here Scalesy to push forward, and then Carter Vickers can drop in. We'll have Johnson, we'll have Taylor, we'll have the three at the back, and Scalesy can be the one going forward rather than Taylor cutting in, because like that we were becoming a bit predictable with that, and got Greg Taylor was getting caught out of position. So Greg Taylor couldn't drift in because Cherney was on that wing, and by all accounts was causing him a bit of trouble. So by taking out Trusty and then allowing Scales to move forward, you still had the man marking Cherney, and that for me was the thinking behind Brendan's substitution there.
Changing up. I mean, let's get on it because he contributes when we get ourselves back on terms. As Taylor, up to that point, a bit of a mixed performance once a game from him, I'd say. I don't know what happened at half time. There was clearly words being said, but I felt that Greg Taylor really made amends. You know, deflected goal aside, I'm forget that. That's the main bit everybody will remember. But just up in the lead up to that goal, he was tackling everything that moved. It was as if it was Sunday flipped a switch. You know, the change in his game, the change in Kuhn's game. Like, Kuhn had flashes in that first half, but he came out that second half. All the people that we'd expect, Maeda, Kuhn, all over it. Give me the ball, running, trying to make things happen. I still felt the midfield were letting themselves down a wee bit. I'm not going to give that a buy and just say everybody was brilliant, because they weren't. Wingers were better. Taylor was better. You know, and he contributes. He finds himself in positions and he gets his shot off. Deflected goal off Raskin. Remember, the greatest, new best midfielder that anybody should ever want in their team. And off him, that was beautiful. One each. Have that. Yeah,
listen, big Scalesy gets on the end there. A cross, knocks it out towards Greg Taylor. He's hit the volley. It's on target. So it goes down as a Greg Taylor goal for me. As much as I'd love to give it to your wee pal Raskin in there, or whatever you want to call him. Listen, deflected goal, gets you back in the game. And for me then, it was just a matter of time before we pushed. And we sat and, like you say, Steve, wanted the body bags out. I wanted to see them crumble. And for a wee part, you kind of did. You seen the heads going down. You seen Captain Tav giving it, oh, here we go again. Do you know what I mean? And it was that kind of mentality. Celtic had that wee bit between the teeth again, going, right, now it's time for us to go. And I thought, by all accounts, up until certain points in there, we were pushing, we were the more prominent team. Do you know what I mean? You're still on mute again, Steve.
No, that's the thing. We push it. And, you know, we get our goal. It's, you know, our rewards for coming out in the second half. We're a wee bit more impetus. We're going for it. We're trying to do the right things, which is good. It's the first point for me in that game, and it's such a short period of time, such a short window for the start of the second half. But we come out and it shows something close to what we were expecting. You know, that intensity, that wee bit sharpness, that bit more probing and asking questions of the Rangers. Because when we look at the game, it's easy to turn around and write off, as I say, Rangers' performance and say, we were shite, we were garbage, but we still win, and that's what champions are. And as I say, I hate to burst your bubble. You can hate on me if you want. I'm not having that. I'm just simply not having that. You can't keep going to the well when things don't pan out the way you want to do. Obviously, they do at the end of the game because we get the trophy, and that's all that matters. But you can't have your cake and eat it. It's a fallacy that we played shite and you still can't beat us. No, Celtic played shite and got out of fucking jail. Let's not kid ourselves on here. I'm sorry to be. I will be the bad guy. Paddy is the positive guy. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm just not into doing that. It's nonsense. You know, I mean, I could sit here and just write the tagline for fucking get it up, Rangers. We've won the cup. We're brilliant. No.
Yeah.
But But
I
I think
understand.
I think we saw the improvement that we wanted at half time, mate.
Yeah, and that's it. The thing for me, it was back down to that thing where we're getting a one-half performance. We were garbage in the first half. We really were. There was not enough for me going forward. We had the possession. We had a few chances. Nothing clear-cut, nothing magical. But coming out in the second half, like you said, well, Brendan's been in there at half-time, put a rocket up somebody's arse and went, right, listen, get the finger out here, boys. This is what we need to do. Greg Taylor come out, better performance. Daisy Maeda comes out, better performance. Nicholas Kuhn, better performance. Yeah, there was a lot of guys in there, better performances. For me, Scalesy as well, again, brilliant. You touched on the midfielders and it breaks my heart, but again, Rio Hatate didn't have the best game that I've ever seen him play in a Celtic jersey, but he held the ball at points. He wasn't as bad in possession with the ball as what I've seen previously. He had a few good passes in there, he had a few...
I just want to bring in Paddy. Well, whilst you're talking about him, right? And again, I know we're tangent off, but that's the nature. It says, get your comments in because I want your comments to inform what we're talking about. It's easy for us to... You watch the game, right? Let's hear what you've got to say. I'll put it to Paddy. I'll put it to myself. You talk about Hatate here, mate, right? You talk about him. And who put a dog? Is he the real Hooper dog? Who knows? But there's a dog there anyway. Not an extra large dog, but it's a dog. And he says, how many chances do we give Hatate? Fed up of hearing how brilliant he is. Not seeing it yourself. I've also seen this. He's been minced the last couple of weeks. I've also seen people saying he'll be sold. He's your man, Paddy. That's why I'm coming to you with these questions. Yeah. What's the deal with Hatate? Because for me, he gets by just because we don't have Luke McCown. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, listen, Real Hatate for me, he lacks consistency. We know what the guy can do. We've spoke about him on here so many times. You can watch him in games and he's absolutely magical. He's one of these players that you go, oh my God, he's first name on the team sheet next week straight away. He's one of these guys that can be that person. But then again, you get the other two games where you see him and he looks lethargic. He looks, like you said, just nonchalant running about the middle of the park and doesn't seem to be driving for the ball, doesn't have the intensity that you're looking for. Especially in a game like this, against your rivals across the city, you want your players like Rio to stand up and be counted because you can't have any passengers. I'm not saying he was a passenger today. I really don't think he was. He wasn't brilliant, but he wasn't as bad as what things have been made out to be. He didn't make any major concerning passes or whatever for me. He was all right in there. For me, the guy who should be getting a lot of flack in the middle of the park is Arnie Engels.
Well, we'll get on to him, but again,
later on. But
I'm going to kick back, Paddy. I'm going to kick back early. We get on to Arnie Engels. It's a mixed bag from him.
Yes.
Bernardo, for me, is a standout. Let's talk about the captain.
Yeah.
Because it's unfashionable to ask questions of your captain, particularly in victory, and another, feather in his cap of how great his record is. Yeah. McGregor was red rotten.
Yeah, he wasn't up to what we've normally seen for Callum. You normally see him in there as a leader. Like you said, he'd done a lot of pointing, a lot of shouting, but there wasn't much from him. Now, was that down to him being nullified by, like you called him before, the best midfielder ever to come out of anywhere? The wee man Rastan.
Best midfielder in the world, Belgium, the universe of Earth.
Aye. Diamande or whoever was on there, whoever was marking him. Was it down to him being nullified? Every time the ball seemed to come to Callum, there was two guys pressing him. There was a lot of attention on him, and that's what you have to do. They said that before. Remember, I watched an interview. It was Voldemort as well. He was there, and he's talking about Callum McGregor, and he says, if you can nullify their captain, you'll nullify them.
Yep.
And that's what they tried to do. And to an extent, I think it worked. I think they've done okay with it. But the rest of the players round about him contributed enough for me to make sure that Callum not having the best game didn't affect the outcome of the game.
Paddy, we get ourselves in head, and as we say, we come out at half time, and there's a marked improvement.
Yes.
I think in that first half, there was flashes for Kuhn. And that was pretty much it. That was pretty much our lot. Second half, a lot more lively. Kuhn's looking a lot more lively. Certainly Maeda's looking a lot more lively. The goal's class, isn't it? I mean, it's up in the air to take it down. And I think, if we're honest as well, as much as we love Maeda in this channel, a wee bit of you thinks at first, you think, oh my God, somebody we want on to go. I'd rather it was somebody other than Maeda, but mate, puts it away. Lovely stuff.
We touched on it previously, and we said about him, the speedboat with no steering wheel and things like that, bombing it in there. And like I said, he's a defender's nightmare. Having that running at you, and he takes a touch up in the air, brings it down nice, and like you said, you're sitting. At no point was it ever. It wasn't going to be fucking guaranteed, was it? It was always going to be one of them. You're like, oh no, here we go. What we're going to get here? But listen, absolutely clinical for Dyson, phenomenal. Totally, for me, changed the total dynamic of the game. Puts you ahead, and you're thinking, right now, it's time to push on. It's time for us now to absolutely rip this team apart, and that's kind of what I was expecting for there.
I mean, Paddy, see when that goal goes in,
yes.
I don't know about yourself, but for me, there was that feeling, the equaliser is a wee bit fortuitous. I think it was what we deserved. We came out, we're a lot more lively. We're showing a bit more of what we're expecting for Celtic. The second goal is just sheer work rate, and of course, there's a class finish at the end of it. When I was sitting watching it in the pub, I thought to myself, right, this is a turning point. I think we are on top of it here. We are really, really, really going to get our foot on the ball here, and we're going to cause them trouble nonetheless. I actually felt that they were just going to wilt. I'll be honest, and I was out with Bennett, and he turned and he says to me, they've hit their maximum. They're done. Yeah. They're going to peter out. And again, we talk about resilience, and that's a word joking about the whole Palmer thing that we say, but to be fair to Rangers, and all folk don't like to be fair and give them credit, and I don't like that, but to be fair to them, it didn't shake them, which really, really surprised me, Paddy.
Yeah, no, that's something we've not seen for them this year, especially against us. Previously, when we've scored or we've got that kind of killer goal, I'm not saying Dyson scoring that goal is going to be a killer goal, but normally when they go behind, you see the heads go down, you see like you say, the dynamic changing and things like that. They don't seem to have the same resilience that Celtic have. We've been behind before, and we just came out there and went, right, wait a minute, up a gear, boys, here we go. They seem to just stick to the plan, stick to doing what they were doing. I think they had that bit of belief that there was always a mistake in there from us, that they were going to capitalise on something. And then, listen, it works out for them. They obviously get their second goal, their equaliser, and for me, it's down to poor defending. You shouldn't be losing goals for set pieces like that. Right at the front post, the ball gets played in by your man Cherny, who again, he's highlighted as a danger man. It's a good ball in towards the front post, but he shouldn't be in front of the defender. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be somebody in front of him.
We look at their equaliser. There's many things that frustrate me. Now, I like the comments that are coming in. Keep them firing. Let us know what you thought of these goals as they unfold in the performances. The underlying point is I'm seeing a lot of mixed reactions here, and we always like to have the balance on here. We always like to, the positive, the negative, and everything else in between. There's always this underlying point of, but we won, and that's all that matters. And I get that. That's the one thing I want to say. That is the most important thing. But let's not disagree with each other, because we want the best for the side. And sometimes you've just got to look beyond. As I say, it would be easy, it'd be cheap for us as Celtic fans to just come on here and go, won the cup, there it is.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's, let's just talk about as we see it. And that's the thing. It's I am ecstatic. Do not misconstrue it. I am absolutely thrilled. It was ecstasy at the end of it to just go over the line. It was relief. It was excitement. It was all those emotions that you love being a Celtic fan and watching football live in the flesh. But at the same time, we've got to address what things are. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. And that's it. It shows a real investment and love for your team. If you just settled for a result and that was it, then by God, it'd be a boring time. You only need to look at some Rangers of the past, turgid football and grinding out results. That's not what we want as Celtic.
Yeah, no, that's it. We want to win by playing beautiful football. I've seen there as well. We've obviously got a wee infiltrator in the chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe, pal. Obviously over here to see what it looks like to have a trophy. Yeah, listen, you want to win games playing beautiful football. We really do.
I just wait, Tommy. I actually don't even know what you're talking about. It's Potter's garbage, mate. So see you later. Bye.
See your sister. Listen, we want to win games by playing beautiful football. We really, really do. We want to go out there and perform and annihilate your opposition and all these other teams. Of course you do. But there's something for me about winning dirty, about winning when you don't play as well as that as well, Steve. And I know, like we'd said there as well, you don't want to, we played crap and we still beat you and whatever. But for me, I think a wee bit of that in there is quite good because, like we've said before, it's the hope that we'll inevitably kill them. And it's that, giving them that wee bit. They think that they're back. They think that they've outperformed Celtic. They really think that they've came out there and given us a fantastic game. We weren't at our best today. We really weren't. Second half, there was flashes of what we can do. But if we performed to what I know we can do, we would have pummeled them today. We would have absolutely annihilated them. And that's the difference. For me, it's different levels of expectation. We expect to win and win heavily, win comfortably, win nice. But there is a thing about winning as we did today. Ugly.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's again, people are saying it in the comments. That's the difference. That's the levels, and I do get that. I would rather, at the end of the day, the results come. But again, just in search of that, dare I say it, perfection when you want something so well. And I think our problem is, Paddy, we've set such a high bar this season. Yes. We've played so well, and we've had everything our own way for one way or another that it's almost where it's maybe a wee bit ignorant. Would I say entitled? No, I wouldn't. But I think that you're that accustomed to things going your way that you don't quite like it when it doesn't come. So we're 2-1 up. We think we're cruising. And as you say, as you touched on it, you mentioned the goal. We bring on by that point, we've got Engels on, right? So Engels is on the pitch with he comes off for Bernardo, who I thought was outstanding. Maybe surprised me a wee bit, actually. Yeah. But there's a recurring theme that he seems to come off about 60 minutes. Is that because that's all he can last? I don't know. It's irrelevant. He comes on. We also get Johnson off, Ralston on round about the same time as well. Now, let's just talk about the goal. For me, breaking that down from an objective standpoint, there's a multitude of sins in that goal. The first is we know Czerny is going to be one of the brightest and most dangerous threats. What does he do? Cut in the left. We show him the left-hand side. We invite him in. We back him off, and he gets the cross in. Now, for me, Engels, yes, makes amends later on, but this is a guy who we had big question marks over, a guy who we were unsure about throwing in this game because of the intensity levels, the pressure, giving away the ball, etc. I'm sorry, it's piss poor. Mo Diamandi's about 7 stone wet.
Yeah.
And he somehow manages to out-muscle, hold off, and turn Engels for a shot.
Yeah.
Now, it's fortunate that it's saved and drips under Kasper Schmeichel, but it's terrible in many levels for Celtic. It's a goal of our own design, mate.
Yeah, it's a poor one to concede. And like I say, from that style of set play, the short ball and the in-swinging cross, you've got to have a defender in front there. For me, I mean, even Engels is a man standing on him and whatever else, but where's the rest of your guys? Where is your Carter Vickers and your Scales and whatever else? Where were they when that was happening? For me, it wasn't shown. There wasn't that bite in there, that bit of passion to get the ball out. You need to fight for the ball in the box. Rangers looked like they wanted to win it. They wanted to go for the ball in there. They were more positive going forward when it was coming in like that. They were pushing for the ball, and it wasn't coming. For me, you need to be breaking that down. You need to stop the short corner, or you need to get in front of the defender. It was an extremely poor goal to lose, and it was gutting at that time because you thought, right, they're going to end up getting the momentum here. But obviously that didn't happen. Celtic again upped a gear, and it started to look a bit more promising again. Guys like Kuhn and Dyson, and I thought Hatate even came onto a bit of a game there. He started to kind of press again. But yeah, for me, Engels was extremely poor. But does he make up for it with what happened?
Listen, of course he does, and let's touch on that because it was a really good bit of work for him. I think for me, listen, we've championed it on the channel before that I think that when we look at Engels, everybody wants to look at the price tag. That's unfortunate.
Yes.
That's not his fault. I genuinely think that he's a guy who's finding his feet. He is young. He's getting international caps of Belgium, very accomplished team, one of the top teams. So there's clearly something there. We've invested in him. We've spent that money. You've seen glimpses of what he really has to offer. I genuinely think he's finding his feet. And I think as much as fans maybe don't want to accept the fact, you're not going to see the best out of him till season 2, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And today was indicative of that. He's the horror bag with the defending that is that goal. But then he's the sublime where he does well to maintain possession, links up with Kuhn, cuts one in. It's a world-class bit of play from him, sets up Kuhn, goal. At that point, that late on in the game, Paddy, what on earth goes wrong? How can we not hold on to that?
I know, and see what you're saying there as well. Like, we had Taylor make the mistake and then make up for it. We pass there. Then we've had Engels make a mistake and then make up for it. Do we need to make a mistake in there to give us the kick up the arse that we need to go forward? And is that what it's come to here? For me, it's a good pass. Listen, Nicholas Kuhn does incredible. Puts the ball into him. He drives for the byline, cuts it straight back to the middle of the park, middle of the penalty spot. Nicholas Kuhn standing there. And there's only going to be one outcome when Nicholas is standing there, and it was absolutely fantastic finish, nice and low, down to the middle of the goal. Butland's nowhere to be seen. Brilliant finish. At that point, I'm screaming at the TV, that's it. Pull the shutters down, game over. All it would have took from there was a bit of game management, a bit of time, a bit of Celtic just to solidify it now, just keep the ball, nice bit of possessional play, and you're shooting in.
So, in terms of the performance, we'll cover through a few things here, right? So, I want to bring us to Strangelove, and he asked the question of, did Sevco, did the Rangers play like Aberdeen? He thought that it was their level tonight. When gifted them 2 goals, it would have been a stroll in the park. Now, I think that's very interesting. Again, I'm going to bring up, we'll look at that here. Just look at it. Stats are stats. We don't champion stats on here. A lot of other podcasts and people will put, a lot of lean, as will the Rangers manager, on XG and shots and all that kind of stuff. We always judge things by the eye. Again, people hate the give Rangers credit thing. I'm not giving them credit, but I am recognising that they've done something a wee bit different tonight, Paddy. They eventually resorted to the hoofball. They did, they started going long, but they weren't the Rangers that we've played the past 2, 3, 4 times, in my opinion. I thought they found a middle ground. They found something of a building blocks for the way that they should try to play. Yeah. And I think that might be different. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference. It's neither here nor there. They just don't deal with Celtic, and we put them at the sword one way or another. But do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think that's just maybe, as we say at times, going on lowest common denominator, where it's easy to turn around and say they're shite?
Listen, of course, it's nice and easy to say that, but for me, going in, they had to change. They had to resort to something different from the, like you say, the hoofball, the chaos ball, whatever you want to call it, this a lump ball up towards one of the strikers just to head down and hope that things happen off it. They had to play differently. Now, under no circumstance do I think that if they come at us again when we play them in January, if they come at us like that again, we'll demolish them, because Celtic weren't at their best today. And if teams come at us, it plays into our hands. We've seen it before. Aberdeen had that game against us when they caused us a bit of hassle in the league and we got the draw. We then came up against them in the Cup, Steve, when we were there. And it was a total different outcome. They tried to play the same way. They tried to do the same thing. And Celtic were waiting on it. They were sitting waiting there and went, right, we know what's coming now. Have that. I think we were surprised today. I think Celtic expected Rangers to play a certain way, and I think they came out a bit different. I think that's maybe what's happened there, and that's how they've got so much from it.
So before it comes round, obviously, just to finish up the actual action and such, a couple more changes, obviously. We have, as we say, we get Forrest comes on, he's on late. We get Ida comes on. Yeah. In terms of Kyogo again, polarising, I had them on my bet slip. I had Kyogo to score.
Yeah.
I'm going to lie. Had the rest came in. Kyogo was one that let it down. Boo. But Ida comes on, 76. I liked what I saw for Ida. I really, really liked what I saw for Ida in that game. I thought that, we questioned, Josh and I, where the physicality of Rangers, and that it might not work. It might not work because that's maybe playing into their hands. I thought the big man did his chances no harm. I thought he had a good bit of input in the game. A bit starved for chances. I think there's the one where he tries to control it, but he probably should just take the early shot and snap it away. But other than that, I thought a very good contribution to the team. And again, bringing on from the subs as well, really contributed up to our level. Kyogo can frustrate the life out of you at times, because I can be honest and say I could probably count in this one hand the amount of times the man actually touched the ball until he gets subbed.
Yeah, that's it. He had that chance as well, didn't he? The little kind of shot, that little dink one that you've seen him score so many times. And it does frustrate you. And I've said on here before about his game when he's making these runs off and dragging defenders here, there and everywhere. And he just wasn't getting, like I said, the final pass was lacking. The wee bit in there was that final third, the pass in that final third for me seemed to be null and void. That was where we were lacking. And if you've got that pass in towards somebody like Kyogo or even Adam Ida, they're going to score. 9 out of 10 times they're going to put the ball on target. They're going to get a goal out of it, I would say. Ida, for me, listen, he's a different dynamic for Kyogo. He's a different type of player. He's one of these guys, he has a unit. He can do the physical stuff. He can push the guys about. And he brings the ball and he controls it well. Like you said, his chance there, he tries to take a touch and maybe knock it by the other defender or whatever. A confident Ida strikes that first time. I think that's where he's lacking. I think we spoke about Engels as well. And listen, I'd love to see these guys with the price tags kick on. I really would, but I think they lack confidence. I think they're lacking that wee bit extra that I think they need. And when they do kick on, it's going to be, again, a different level for us.
So, Paddy, before we get into penalties and that, obviously the Rangers get back in it. We touched on that fantastic. For me, it was like, yes, the killer ball, the sucker punch out of nowhere. Fantastic play. Kuhn gets the goal. You're like, yes, go mental, right?
Yeah.
At that point, I'm thinking, here we go. It's done.
Yeah.
Almost for kick-off, Paddy. With no Rangers. Is it just one of the ones where you just fall asleep, lapse of concentration, poor game management, however you want to dress it up? We know Rangers are going to launch the ball in the box.
Yeah.
And we invite it for kick-off. And Danilo, again, talk about bringing in these new guys. I think every one of the new guys that they brought in, with the exception of Raskin, who I thought was garbage, I thought contributed. And Danilo scores. It's a wee bit cheap. I think it's Ralston that's marking him.
Yeah.
Doesn't do too well there. But at that stage of the game, it is unacceptable, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, it's unacceptable. For me, I think it is a lapse in concentration, I think it's one of the points where you've got the goal, and even the players have had that bit, that sense of relief, and they've relaxed a little bit. They've given that, that you let that breath out. If you're playing at that level and that intensity, you're kind of fucking running and you're going and going and going. I think at that point, when the breaths came out and we've got that goal by Nicholas Kuhn, we have relaxed a little bit and we've took that little edge off of how we were playing. So when that ball comes in, you're not attacking it as what you should have, as what you would have previously. And that, like you say, the big boy Danilo's right up for it. Decent enough header. 3-3, and you're just sitting, like, going into this last...
At any point, Paddy, at any point, well, just to skim through, I didn't think there was too much action, really, in the additional minutes, the additional time from either side. But did you get... I mean, McLaughlin there saying that for them, they felt that when Rangers clawed it back, that it might just not be going our way. Certainly from my standpoint, I felt that we had produced the best of our dependable subs. I know we've seen, decent output from the likes of Yang when he's came on and the likes like that. But at no point, I thought Forrest came on and I thought Forrest was doing well. I thought Forrest, I was surprised that it actually took as long to get Forrest on the pitch. But in the stoppage time, I didn't feel that we had anything really on the bench that for me I would have turned to and think that's going to change the game. Equally, Rangers clearly didn't have anything on their bench because it was just idiots and garbage that they weren't going to bring on. But for me, I just felt that we had maybe hit our maximum in terms of our on the pitch play. It was always, for me, cruising towards penalties. A very uncomfortable thought that I didn't want to accept, but I just felt that, as the game ticked on, that we didn't have the reserves on the bench once we'd brought on what we had. Yeah,
when it went into the extra time, the game started to look a bit cagey. Both teams, I think, kind of went, right, wait a minute. We don't want to lose this here. We don't want to go forward too quickly and get caught out at the back. We don't want to push too many men forward and get caught out. We want to kind of solidify this, and if we're going to get a goal, we're going to get it by just playing in a formation, really. And that's what it seemed to be. Both teams kind of sat there in the formations. And for me, it penalties written all over it straight away. I watched the first kind of 5 minutes of the extra time and I was like, yeah, I know exactly where this is going. And I was sitting and I says to my wife, I says, who would you rather have in goals when it's going into penalties? Would you rather have Kasper Schmeichels or Jack Butland? And she went, yeah, you'd have Kasper all day long. And I was like, yeah, 100% you would. Now, that's not saying Butland's garbage. Listen, we know what that guy's done for their team. Last year, he was probably one of their standout players. But going in to that stage of a game, that's when you look to your big players. That's when you look to your captain, your Callum McGregor. That's when you look to the guys with experience, James Forrest, Kasper Schmeichels. That's when these guys come into their own. Winners. They get the squad and they just bring it all together. And that's what you started to see. And I felt going towards the end of the extra time, you've seen that air of confidence in Celtic.
Yep.
And it for me, it just, I don't know, it lifted me. So I'm going into this penalty shootout, mate. I was buzzing. I'm sitting, I'm saying, we've got this. This is it. So I'm so happy going in now to these kind of situations. If you Scott Bain in goals, I wouldn't have been that excited about that. So going up to that stage, I was quite excited, mate. I was quite buzzing for the.
We see it. We see it out as we say. There's a little to no action as far as I'm concerned in that stoppage time. It was cagey, as you say, and I think it was a real realisation that it was going to penalties.
Yeah,
we get to the penalties. How did you feel how those panned out? Obviously, we know how they panned out at the end of it. It's all good, right? But we start off hot with some of our penalty takers, mate.
Yeah,
no messing about.
That's the way to do it. Adamida steps up first. Brilliant. That's what you want for your striker. Confidence. For me, if a striker can't score for 12 yards out, there's an issue. Adamida steps up there after they've went ahead by Captain Fantastic, whatever you want to call him. He just went up there and banged it straight away at the bottom corner. He's seen it. He had a bit of passion in there. He knows what it means. He showed it. And it was nice to see that. They go up and they do what they've got to do. Your second man up is Callum McGregor, your captain. He's straight up there again, powers through it. Brilliant penalty. And he turns round and he's telling the crowd to get up and he's pushing on. And that's exactly what you need in these situations, mate. You need these winners, these big guys to step up and absolutely pummel the ball into the back of the net.
Yeah. I thought all the penalties were fairly well accomplished. I didn't think there was any great issues there. I think the Hadji one, where you see Schmeichel trying to do a wee bit of mind games, he's pointing, he's very unlucky, and obviously it goes in there. But apart from that, it's fairly composed, good quality penalties. I'm not going to sit there, I'm not going to sit here and kid on. I watched a lot of the penalties with my head in my hands, and I waited for the scream or the whatever, and then I looked up and I saw the replay. Couldn't watch it in real time. I genuinely did not like my chances as much as I've got faith in Kasper Schmeichel. I just didn't like the gamble that was got final. And that's what I says at the start of this. At the end of the day, we win the trophy. That's the most important thing.
Yes.
Can it be a psychological blow to Rangers? Hopefully. Absolutely it would normally be. Have they turned a corner? We will soon realise, in our next couple of games before they play us, that'll be the real acid test for whether this is really demoralising properly. But for me, I just didn't like that gamble that was there. And as I said at the top of the show, for me, in the fullness of this game, looking back on it and being honest and reflective, Celtic didn't win it in a case of we were crap, but you still can't beat us. Celtic won it through sheer shit luck that is a penalty.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, well, Ridvan's ball went because he missed the penalty. The best players in the world, players a lot better than Ridvan Yilmaz, has stepped up to penalties and missed them.
Yeah.
It's literally a flip of a coin at that point for me.
Exactly, that's it. It's down to, like I say, the experience as well. Having somebody like Kasper in there, we've seen the mind games. You commented on the one with Hadji, and Hadji's giving it back to him like, oh, that doesn't work on me, it doesn't work on me. Fair play, mate. But it worked to an extent because these guys coming up, listen, Hatate's penalty was a peach. I wasn't even going to say it because it was expected coming from me. All of the penalties were cracking. Of course, they were. Engels as well took his penalty really well. I've got to say that. And when Ridvan Yilmaz goes up there, it's one of the ones I remember years ago watching. I think it was Ashley Cole taking a penalty for England, and he's stepping up to take it, and I'm just going, he's missing this, and he did. And you see it walking up, you see the head. He didn't walk up with that air of confidence that the other players walked up with. He walked up there with the ball, and he's looking down at it, thinking, "Fucking please!" You can see he's actually praying to the ball to try and get it. I've actually got here some of his tears, which are absolutely beautiful. I'm loving them. And for the final penalty, obviously it's Dyson Maeda. And Joe commented previously saying about it was lovely to see the reaction of Dyson's family when he scored the goal and stuff like that. The camera pans across to Dyson's family, and you see his wife sitting there with his two kind of kids, and she's like, oh no, and like she's looking away, she's doing a Steve-O, she's got her head down and she's kind of peeking through the hands there. And listen, it couldn't have come down to any other person for me. Dyson Maeda deserved that moment. Kasper's save was outstanding, absolutely brilliant, and Kasper deserves a lot of credit for that. But for me, the credit, because his second goal, because what he done in that second half, the credit goes to Dyson Maeda.
See, just I hadn't actually thought about this, and I just want to fire this in. As I say, a lot of people are saying luck's nothing to do with it. Yeah, I agree. Every single penalty taker that stood up produced the goods. And, great penalties all round, I would definitely say. But at the end of the day, I still do believe that penalty shootouts are a wee bit. There's an element of luck there.
Yes.
Whether you buy into that or not. But this is a good point, and I never really actually thought about this. San Fran says, imagine letting your keeper take a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, it was reflected on some of the guys. Now, listen, just want to bring it in. Barron, the hero, nowhere to be seen.
Dossers.
Dessers, a striker, nowhere to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think when we actually look at it, that we talk about had Rangers hit their maximum, had Rangers blew their load early, if you want to call it that? See me think about it now. See me actually look at that, and that's a good point. I never thought about that. did that show they were running out of ideas and running out of heroes because their keeper's taking a penalty, mate?
Listen, for me, it comes down to...
And sorry, and a defender takes one and misses it.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to that point. Our players that took our penalties were our midfielders and our strikers. That was it for us. Like Ida, Engels, Hatate, again, McGregor. So, I mean, it's all our kind of big players that stepped up. I seen the interview with Voldemort, and they asked him about the penalty thing, and he said that Dessers was apparently taking number 6. That's where he had put himself. We made the mistake, remember? We gave Joe Hart a penalty against Aberdeen, and it almost cost us. So taking penalties nowadays isn't actually something that... It's not as strange as what it's made out to be. And I think in that situation, like you're saying, you want to see your striker step in there. If Dessers steps up at that point and bangs one in the top corner, he could essentially be getting himself back into that Rangers team, back into a favourable position, back where the fans are actually looking at him saying, oh, look what he done there. But he's not put himself in that situation. Listen, Jack Butland steps up, it's a good penalty. It's a decent enough penalty, and that could be a bit of mind games in there trying to get that over on Casper, because obviously Casper's not taking one. But
yeah.
Listen, it works out for them at that point. Yeah, it's quite a strange one seeing a keeper step up, but listen, the guy finishes it. He does the job, and yeah, fair play.
Well, and to wrap up, obviously, for me, the man that converted the whole game, turned it in his head, was definitely Dice Maida. He comes out in that second half, mate. He's so lively. He gets his goal. He contributes, and he ultimately scores the pressure penalty.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest. At times, if you'd wound the clock back and says Dice Maeda on a, be all end all penalty, you fancy it, you might be, you'd be forgiven for saying, nah, no into it. But we talk about this being a Kyogo derby. We talk about this being a Cal McGregor derby.
Yeah.
It's slowly becoming a Dice Maeda derby, mate.
It is. He's got that impact, and he's got that wee fear element over the Rangers defenders, and it's just, like I said before, mate, when I was talking about him, he just causes absolute carnage when he runs at them. He's just an absolute nightmare. And he seems to start doing the thing against them now. And like you said, there was that thing before in the commentary, and it was Derby Day is Kyogo Day and things like that, because Kyogo always seemed to provide the goods. He was the man for the big occasion. That man for the big occasion is now starting to look like Dice Maeda or Nicholas Kuhn, because these are the two guys that are making the most of absolutely everything that we're throwing their way, and it's a fucking joy to watch. It really is.
So, Paddy, we get it over the line. Yes. We get it over the not by one way or another. It's not how we wanted it to pan out, of course. Yeah. But see, at the end of the day, the way we wanted to pan out was Cal McGregor lifting the trophy and it back up the roads, demoralising them perhaps, and that's what we get. We go to the post-match, and of course, Big Phil's coming out with the stuff. His phone's going mental because it should have been a penalty. Yes. I bring this in here, and Ryan asked me, what do I think of the pull on Czerny? Is it a penalty? It's going to be the hill that they're going to die on.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paddy?
Honestly, I've watched it. I've read the rule book. It's stonewalling me. It's a penalty. His foot is on the line. Scalesy drags him down. It's a penalty. All day long, it should be a penalty. And I think if it goes to your VAR review thing, we Willie Collum will come out there and he'll say that.
But here's the thing. I've looked at it as well, and I'm going to kick back on it because we spoke about it, and I says, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
I think it's just a now. I think if the foul continues into the box, it becomes a penalty. It doesn't get checked because the initial pull is outside the penalty and outside the area, and he lets go off the shot before he makes his way into the box. Thus, by the letter of the law, in my book at least, it's not a penalty.
By the letter of the law. Here we go, a wee bit of line of duty there. Listen, for me, his foot's on the line. As soon as you see it, when that's played in slow motion, if that goes to VAR and they pull the ref over and say, listen, I think you should have a look at this. If they show him that in slow motion, as Scalesy lets him go, his foot's on the line. So for me, with his foot being on the line, that's a penalty. So stone waller. If that happens at the other side, Steve, well, I am screaming for it. Now, like I said before, things like that will kill them even more. We were robbed. VAR are against us. Everybody's against us. Everybody hates us. Blah, blah. Listen, let them have that. They were defeated. You know what I mean? Always cheated, never defeated. That's what they'll say. And listen, up the road with them. Another trophy back in our cabinet. We'll wipe the dust off it for their fucking stadium because there's nothing else in it. But yeah, we'll sit it in there with the rest of our trophies.
No, we'll take that. We'll take that, as I say, I understand. But just bring that up because that's the one thing, that's their go-to after the event that they're pulling through. I think that when we look back on it, I think it's a shot in the arm for us. Make no mistake about it. We are cruising in the league, right?
Yes.
At this moment in time, we are sitting there and we're thinking to ourselves, absolute bare minimum, a double's happening.
Easy.
We'll see how the Scottish Cup pans out. But I tell you what, and this is the thing, this is what I tell you. If it were to go to a Celtic and Rangers Scottish Cup final, at the end of the season, with Celtic with this cup in the bag, with the league pretty much going to be minus absolute Chernobyl disaster.
Yeah.
2 in the bag. I fancy no matter who we play on that last day of the season to take it.
Oh,
regardless of today's performance for Rangers or anything else that comes in between, I can't see beyond Celtic with one game to go. If they're in that final with the 2 in the bag, eyes on the prize, I can't see any other outcome than a treble. And it 100%. Puts us in the box seat for that. Off the back it, Paddy, how do you think this one's going to pan out? Looking at their games, they've got Aberdeen, they've got us, they've got a couple of tough games. Let's see how that one works out. No winter break this season. Yeah. We'll take the positives. We love it. We can't get enough of it. Have we seen, though, that there's still room for improvement? What's their takeaways? What's our takeaways? What does the manager take away from our squad? Do we need improvement? And what do they take away from it?
I think our manager will have a plan in place as well. I think he knows the positions that we're kind of light on. Obviously, the left-back position has been highlighted so many times. Is Alex Valle going to be the person who's going to be in there and solidify that wee lull that we've got with Greg Taylor? Is Greg Taylor going to be the one that we've got going forward? There's a lot of questions being asked there. Are we going to bring in another winger? Obviously, guys like James Forrest coming in, Yang's had a chance. Looks like Palmer's on the road out. So we're going to need to bring in another winger. Somebody, I think that will be identified already. I think another striker, possibly somebody to give us a little bit of an extra edge. And there I'd like to see something like that. But I don't think there needs to be full haul changes in there. I think that the Rangers manager's going to be looking at their team. He'll be trying to take the positives for that. He'll be saying we won the first 10 minutes, we won the first 15 minutes or whatever, and it'll be taking the positives for that performance. They came at us, they tried something different, and they got a good result out of it. For them, that's a decent result. A 3-3 draw with us is a good result because they've been battered in previous years and previous games. So there's a lot of positives for them to take out of it. But for me, I don't really see them. I said it before on here, I don't see them as competition.
Yeah.
I see them as entertainment.
And I think that's the thing, Paddy. We have 2 different mindsets. I see some of the comments and talk are saying, like, who cares about Rangers things? See, at the end of the day, I say this, I'm never ignorant to the fact that, see, as a Celtic fan, I care about what every team around Celtic are doing. Because you can be focused and dialed in. My passion, my love, and my care is solely, first and foremost, with Celtic.
Yes.
I want to know. I want to have an insight into what those around us are doing. Those who are trying to stop us, what are they going to be thinking? What are they going to be trying to do? Because I want to know. I want to know what they're thinking or how they might react to predict how we're going to react. That's why I look at it. I always try to look at the whole picture when it comes to Celtic, when it comes to football, when it comes to the league, when it comes to whatever it is. I always am interested in the opposition because, as I say, we can walk around and just be like, Celtic podcast, don't care about anything. We could do that.
Aye, exactly, mate.
How boring would life be if all you cared about was right in front of your nose?
Yeah, listen, you've been an absolute mug if you never had one eye in your competition, one eye on the other side, and listen, you keep a close eye on them, and you enjoy watching them get gobbed. You enjoy watching them get that wee hope, and then watching it drain away. That for me, I get enjoyment out of that. Like we said before, the hope that will inevitably kill them. And you see them getting that wee boost, that wee bit of the day, and they've got a bit between their teeth, and their fans are all singing, they're dancing, and yes, brilliant. They couldn't get out of Hampden quick enough the day, mate. It was beautiful. Their players looked absolutely gutted. Their players were distraught walking up there for the runners-up medals, and you've seen half of their team bombing it straight down the tunnel. And Tavernier shouted them back, and he's made them stand and watch. Celtic got there and left the trophy. And I thought,
do you know what? Sees a mental blow. That is as much credit in the bank as a victory.
Aye.
Because whether you like, respect, hate, want to slag off him or them, see the fact that he's saying, come and have a look at this.
Want and watch it, aye.
That's it goes one of two ways. In their head they go, that's what I want to be.
Yes.
That's what winners are. Right? Because that's what we are. But at the same time, it can psychologically damage them.
Yeah.
I've sat there and watched them laugh in our faces. I've had to sit there and eat it.
Aye.
And for me, I think that as much as folk go, Tav, that's a real captain. It's a real captain. Look at him, showing him what it means to win. Tav doesn't know what it means to win, mate.
Mate, I took words out of my mouth.
Alert. Tav doesn't know what it means to win. It's a pretense. It's fugazi. It's a show.
Yeah. And that's for me exactly what it was. He shouted the players out, no, we stand and we watch this. And for me, that was a wee bit to maybe try and get their fans back in on his side because, look what I'm doing, I'm the captain, I'm making them watch this. This won't happen again. I guarantee you it will happen again, mate. Like you said, Steve, we'll come the end of the year and we've got the Scottish Cup final, right, which I'm fully confident that we'll get to. Callum McGregor will lift his 24th domestic trophy, mate, in there. Do you know what I mean? 24 cups he's won in there in Hampden, and it's just unreal, mate.
Absolutely. Well, Paddy, listen, it's went a wee bit longer than one would have hoped for tonight, and thanks to every single one of you for staying with us. Nearly an hour and a half, but, that's what comes with daily to day, isn't it? You just want to sit and soak it up, as we say, the good, the bad, the indifferent, but see, at the end of the day, when you cut away, you take away stats, what could have been, would have, should have, would have been penalties and somebody's head and everything else in between. All the other people remember a month, 2 weeks, whatever, will be Celtic 1, 5-4 in penalties, 3-3 at full time.
Yeah.
Celtic apparently now become the world's most successful, best planetarian in the universe club ever.
Do we get the decals put outside the stadium?
No, because that's already. We don't do that. As the manager says, mate, we don't count them. Some people want to tell us how many we've counted. We just win them.
Exactly. We'll just keep winning them. We'll maybe put them next to the statue of Jamesy Forrest when that gets put up as well. Because like Jamie Brown said in there as well, what a trophy haul that young man's got, and absolutely fantastic. The guy's a legend.
Love it.
He's bringing up that door. I had commented before and I'd said about our TikTok, and I had put up a wee challenge for somebody to predict the correct score, and they'd have won this amazing signed F.A. Ambrose print in a frame and everything.
F.A. Ambrose, I love that. What are you doing, you mad? I didn't even know about this. This is class.
Nobody got it right. Nobody predicted 3 each. So what I'm going to do is the next game that we've got, I'm going to do it again. Predict the right score. 420, don't you dare come in with a 4-0. It's not going to happen, mate. 4-0's my result. So I'm going to put it up again. I'm going to put it on the TikTok. Come across, have a wee comment there. And yeah, we'll get that away, sent away to anybody that predicts the correct score. There, 420's going in straight away with a 6-0.
There we go. That's it. Get your bids in. But anyway, listen, thanks to every single one of you for joining us. As it says, if you're new to the channel, you've stuck about, thank you very much. Just make sure it costs you nothing. Absolutely nothing. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notified every time we go live. We'll enjoy this one for a wee while. We'll see how the smoke settles. But thanks to all you for joining us. Check you all. We'll be back throughout the course of the week. Paddy, it's an absolute pleasure. You get yourself back to your good misses and whatever else you're doing with the rest of your night. Until the next time, take care of yourselves. And as always, Paddy, tell them.
Hail, hail, guys.
The following announcement has been paid for by the